up, everyone? This is Adam Quiney. And the topic I want to cover off today is selfishness. A friend of mine and a leader, Rich Litvin, distinguishes this concept. He breaks it down into there's selfish and then there's self-ish. So putting the focus on ourselves. Selfishness is a bit of a tricky, it's a pitfall for a lot of people because there's this concern about, oh, I don't want to be selfish. I don't want to focus purely on myself. I don't want to put attention on myself. And I often see this when I go to someone and I ask them, what do you want from life? You know, they've come to me and they've asked for a conversation and they're like, I really want to see how you could support me. And we're looking at what they want to create in life. And every conversation is around what they want for their kids, or I want my partner to feel a certain way. I want my wife to be this way. I want my husband to be this way, and nothing from themselves. And on the surface, that sounds kind of admirable. Like, oh, wow, this person's so self-effacing. It's all about other people. They're so willing to give themselves over to this other person. But the truth is that there's a selfishness in that. When we're not able to speak our own truth, when we're not able or willing to speak our own wants and needs into the world, there's something at play there that it keeps us stuck, and it actually keeps the people around us stuck. And it's actually a form of control. When we're all fixated out there, we're controlling the image people have of us. We're ensuring that we're a good person, that we're a nice guy, that we're not a jerk or an asshole or whatever it happens to be. Humans have wants and needs, and it's okay to have wants and needs. That's a part of being human. And if you can't express those, it creates issues in relationship, romantic, business, friendship, any kind of relationship, because the people over there don't know what you need. They're not mind readers. And asking for what we need is a fundamental way of expressing ourselves into the world. And if you're not able to do that, it's going to put a lid on what you can create. It's going to put a lid on your own happiness. It's going to put a lid on your own joy. And as soon as we label something like that as selfish, it's like you can hear there's a judgment in that term. Oh, it's selfish. Well, I don't want to be selfish, so I'll bottle those wants and needs and I'll put them on a shelf in the pantry and I'll close the door and I'll lock it and I'll never, ever address that. And the funny thing about people that bring this kind of way of being that's all over there with other people is they tend to have tendencies that can be quite selfish. It's always the way it is, right? Like what you try to resist is what persists. What you try to repress is what you become. And some of those ways, like those people can find themselves out of integrity because they're all about other people, but then they find ways to scrimp or scrounge, cheat, and steal to get their own needs met. Because, like it or not, you're a human with needs, and it's fundamental to human nature to work to get those needs met. You can't just stuff it down. You know, at its most basic, you need to breathe. And if you try to cover your mouth and plug your nose, sooner or later, your body is going to push through those barriers you put in the way and try to get oxygen into it. And our psychological, spiritual, emotional needs are actually no different. They show up in much more subtle ways and have more complicated mechanics. But try as we might to repress them, they will find ways to be expressed and to get themselves out there. And so really all that labeling something as selfish does, or avoiding selfish behavior does, is it pushes something into our blind spot. And once it's back here, we lose control over it. It starts to control us and dictate and move. It determines what becomes possible in our world. And it also, it exerts an influence on us that we can't see. What you can't own owns you. And so if you are one of these people that's really worried about being selfish or oh, I'm trying to be everything for everyone, here's some things you can do to bring some of yourself back into the picture. First, you can it's almost silly how simple it is. You can start writing lists of things that you want or need. Just expressing those. And for most people that have kind of this tendency, they're going to find this really difficult. You'll probably sit with a blank page and be like, there's nothing. In truth, there's millions of things. It might be a bowl of ice cream right now. Maybe you want a glass of milk. Maybe you want your wife to give you a foot massage. Maybe you want your husband to pick you up flowers. There's a million things, and all that blankness, that void, that, oh, I can't think of anything is just your tendency that you've created to suppress your needs, to push them down back here into your blind spot. So that's the first thing, is you can just start to practice, as a practice, checking in and getting more in tune with yourself again, and then actually expressing those on paper. And then the next step is to practice asserting or asking for those needs. And a lot of people say, well, it's not productive, which is kind of ridiculous because it's actually the thing that's in your way of your productivity. And they'll also say, well, but what if there's no chance I'm going to get this? I don't want to ask for it. The truth is that asking for what you want, the goal is not to get it. That's actually not the aim of a practice like this. The aim is for you to be a more fully expressed human being. And as a more fully expressed human being, that gives you more access to joy, to just experiencing more of life. It's a way of opening yourself up and getting more of what's available out of life. And so, yeah, people might say no to you. And in fact, it's a great practice asking for things that you're pretty sure you won't get, because it's going to get you more comfortable hearing no, hearing you can't have that, which is part of the journey, is to actually to allow yourself to be a human with needs and wants that are expressed in the world, and for other people to have whatever reaction they may want to that. And the cool thing about asking for stuff that you don't think you're going to get is sometimes you get it. We call that the bonus. So write out wants and needs, just as a practice. Like every night, write out 5 of them. Set yourself some number that you're like, I'm going to do this no matter what. And stay up. Don't let yourself get off the hook. Don't write 4, don't write 6, write the number you said. As a practice to really let yourself be expressed. And then second, start putting those out into the world. Ask for them. Share them with your partner. Express them to people. Let yourself be known. Okay, so that's 2 practices you can take on. And if you do so, it's going to start to open up your experience of the world and your experience of yourself. It's going to let you have a deeper sense, deeper understanding, a deeper knowing and connection with not only the people that you're in relationship with, but more fundamentally with yourself. And isn't that kind of what this is all about? All right, take care.